When you're a SaaS founder, one of the toughest things you have to master is your ability to zoom in to the critical details to make sure everything works in the detail level, and then be able to zoom out and think about the broader strategy. But so often, I know this happened to me when I was running ToutApp, I would get so bogged down into the details, it would be hard for me to zoom back out and actually think about the strategy and then go back and zoom in and think about the details. And in that, we're getting to actually create a longer term strategy, to actually zoom out and think long term about the business, which is just as important as a startup founder. So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the exact process that I learned to adopt to think strategically about the business, to think about the longer term without losing sight of the details. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you navigate the path to the next stage of growth, to accelerate growth with an unstoppable strategy. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so that you get notified every single time I drop an episode, which is about 2 to 3 times a week these days. Now, if you're already part of our community, if you're part of my SaaS Go-to-Market coaching program and you're watching this, welcome back. It's really great to have you here. All right, so you're a SaaS founder and you're thinking about how to grow your SaaS business. One of the toughest things to do is actually be able to zoom out, take a step back, and think strategically about the business. This was really hard for me, and I had to learn it the hard way. I had to develop this muscle to be able to zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, to be able to context switch between meetings, having to go into a meeting where it's a feature review, and then having to come out and go into a meeting which is a financial review, thinking about the next 12 months. That was a hard thing to nail. One of the biggest things that I learned was you had to actually develop the discipline to think strategically about your SaaS business so that you can drive growth. Now, I'm gonna dig into exactly the process that I follow to drive growth, to create a strategic plan. But first, let me just kind of highlight the thing that you have to master. The thing you have to master is there's essentially 3 planes of thinking. Normally, as startup founders, and I've done this too, we're stuck in the details. We're just thinking about the next 7 days, or this month, or this quarter, or this really important feature we have to get out, or the board meeting that's coming up next week. And of course, the board meeting deck is gonna be ready the night before, because that's just how it goes. We're so stuck in just thinking about the details and the next 7 days. That's just one plane of thinking. And what you have to realize and master is the ability to remind yourself that you need to actually think across 3 different planes. The first is the immediate term, the short term. The second is thinking about the next 12 months. And then the third is thinking about the next 5 years. Now, if someone showed this slide or this index card to baby TK, he would immediately say, hey, listen, I don't even have time to think about the next 5 years. We may not even exist in another quarter if we don't raise the next round of funding. I totally get it. What's important though is for you to understand that in order to navigate the path to the next stage of growth, you have to actually visualize the next stage of growth. Now, this is not some sort of frou-frou law of attraction thing. This is just a practical thing. You have to carve out time where you force yourself to think about the next 12 months, even if it's for an hour every week or an hour every month. And you have to carve out the time where you think about if what you're doing right now pans out, if what you want to do over the next 12 months pans out, then what? What happens after that? And even if it's for an hour once a quarter, you have to think about the next 5 years and the bigger vision around your company. This is just something you have to master. You have to master and remind yourself. This is what I had to do. I just set up calendar invitations every 3rd Thursday of the month where I would say, okay, I have to think about the next 12 months and our strategy going forward. And every board meeting, which was once a quarter, we would think about the bigger, longer term vision around the company. I would carve out time to prepare for that. This is your first thing that you just have to prioritize. If you don't do this, you're just gonna be stuck in the mire details, and you might be optimizing for one thing right now, or you think you are, but you'll miss the bigger picture. You won't have a broader strategy. And all of a sudden, all the problems, all the opportunities that come up when you think around this second plane, the next 12 months, you'll totally miss. You will actually not be able to capitalize on those or avoid those, whether there's opportunities or risks, if you don't carve out this time. So that's really the first thing I really wanted to highlight here. You gotta know how to carve out the time across these 3 planes of thinking. Once you've done that, then it's like, okay, TK, how do I create my strategy? I'm in every Thursday, every 3rd Thursday of the month, right? Like I'm sitting down, it's an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe it's an offsite, whatever works for you. You gotta create your strategy, or you gotta tether yourself to it. You gotta revamp on that strategy. How do you do it? So it's no secret, I believe every SaaS business actually is built on 3 pillars. The first is product strategy, the second is market strategy, and the third is go-to-market strategy. When you optimize on all 3 of these things, you optimize for your business, you actually accelerate your growth, and you actually have a sound strategy. That's the power of this. The question is, how do you do that? So I always think about these 3 things in separate pieces. I believe that you can have an unstoppable strategy, and an unstoppable strategy always addresses these 3 questions: market, product, and go-to-market. Now, to help you along with this, I actually have a 5-point startup strategy guide, and inside of that, I have this 1-page strategy template. It's this worksheet that you can actually download. You can download the guide. I'll link to it below. You don't have to go just yet. Let me explain what you're gonna find in there. I always break down the questions you need to answer for each of these 3 pillars. You have your market strategy, you have your product strategy, and you have your go-to-market strategy. And then I also go into a little bit more detail when I'm creating my 1-page strategy on 2 supporting pillars for every SaaS business, which is your fundraising strategy and your exit strategy. All I'm asking you to do is carve out the 3rd Thursday or whatever day works for you every month where you actually revamp this strategy and revisit this strategy so that it's fresh in your mind. When you actually do this, what you'll end up doing is you'll be able to cross through these 3 planes a lot easier. When you're making a very, very detailed decision, you'll be thinking about, because it's fresh in your mind, your 12-month strategy. When you're thinking about that, you'll actually make a better decision. When you're taking time away to think about these questions and creating your strategy, you will think about the risks in the space, the opportunities in the space, which will then allow you to navigate the ship on the day-to-day in a way better way. You guys starting to get this? Now, there's some specific questions to answer across these broad buckets. I'm gonna cover this next. But before I do that, let me just pause here for a second. This was a game changer for me. I wish someone sat me down with my first $1 of revenue that I earned at ToutApp and taught me this, because I had to learn this the hard way. Carving out time to do this and answering these very specific questions, it's through battled, hardened learning that I got to these set of questions. And I know they seem simple, but I have the countless number of founders that I work with, I'll ask different questions and they'll always have pause. They're like, well, I never thought about it that way. You wanna know why? It's not our fault. It's because things like market strategy, or what's your positioning, or what is our exit strategy, they all sound like simple English words. We assign these definitions to them, but the details of them we don't think about. So we're like, oh yeah, our ICP is XYZ, but we don't really go in with the discipline to really define them. It's the founders that take the time and have the discipline to really, really flesh this out are the ones that win. But no one talks about that, because when you sell your company for bajillions of dollars and you're on the stage at SaaS or TechCrunch, no one's gonna talk about the nitty-gritty work that they did to actually make the company work. So if you're starting to get this, if you're starting to see the importance of this, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's go move on to some of the detailed questions. Okay, so for market strategy, and I go into a lot more detail into these in my startup strategy guide, so I'll link to it below, it's completely free. But some of the questions that you really want to answer and be able to summarize in here is, who is your ideal customer? What's your ideal customer profile? What segment of the market are you going into? Are you going into mid-market, upper mid-market, lower enterprise, SMB, whatever it may be? And what makes this an urgent and important problem for our market? How do you know that this is an urgent and important problem, right? These are just some of the questions that you absolutely must answer in your 1-page strategy. For your product strategy, there's some specific questions I highlight as well. Do we help our customers make money, save money, or reduce risk? Easy. It's an easy question. It's not a complicated question, but you'll be surprised how many people have to think about this. They'll have to think like, well, I think it's this. And by the way, if your answer is productivity, go back to the drawing board. That is not a good strategy. That's for another video. And then some simple stuff around, are we still a vitamin or are we actually turning into a painkiller? A lot of startups start off as a vitamin and then turn into a painkiller by constantly revisiting their strategy. So this is an important question to answer and keep track of. What is our core product loop? What is the first aha moment in our product? And also, what is our core atomic unit? Now, I have some specific training videos that you can check out. I've done some videos on answering some of these specific questions. Just download my startup strategy guide and I'll link to them specifically. That way you don't have to go fumbling for it right now. It's in this YouTube channel. And then the last piece is your go-to-market strategy. Your go-to-market strategy, what is your primary growth engine? Are you doing inbound, outbound, all-bound? What is your strategic narrative? How do we attract people? These are some really good questions that you just need to sit down and answer. And then you have to keep revisiting as you make better and better decisions, as you review the data, as you review the results, right? And then lastly, I won't go into too much detail on this. There's your fundraising strategy, how you'll be funding the growth in the business. Are you bootstrapped? Are you VC? How do you think about your next round? What does your next pitch deck look like? What milestones have you hit? And also your exit strategy. Who are the top 3 most likely buyers? Who are the people already selling to your customers? How can you partner with them so you can lay in the inroads? So all great questions to answer in here. Now, to summarize, there are 3 planes of thinking that every founder must go through. There's the immediate term, next 7 days, next 30 days, or however you look at it. There's the next 12 months, and then there's the next 5 years. So often we get stuck in the now, and we forget to look at the forest. We get stuck in the trees. I think I'm using that right. Anyway, it's super important that you learn to zoom in, zoom out across all 3 of these planes. The better you get at zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out, the better decisions you're going to make, the more growth you're going to have for your SaaS business. And as always, every SaaS business is built on product strategy, market strategy, and go-to-market strategy. Now you know the overview, now you know what you need to do. If you need some help, go download my Startup Growth Strategy Guide. It's my 5-point Startup Growth Strategy Guide. I'll link to it below, or just go to getunstoppable.com/strategy. Inside of it, I give you a whole bunch of training videos that you can watch for each aspects of these. I also give you the template for this 1-page SaaS strategy worksheet. All of that is in there. And it'll help you start to kind of put down some answers to this. They may be the right answers, they may be the wrong answers. We don't know, but it's a start. And tethering yourself to a 1-page strategy is half the battle. And then you can go run experiments, see the results, and tweak your strategy and keep getting better and better and better. And that's how you're gonna accelerate your path to the next stage of growth. If you got value from this video, be sure to hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon if you haven't already. And also comment below, what are your thoughts? How do you go about your strategic planning process? What other questions would you add to this 1-page SaaS strategy worksheet? I'd love to know from you. And also, if you have a fellow founder or team member or friend that would get value from this video, please, it would mean the world to us if you share this video or tweet this out. There's a click to tweet link below as well. I wanna thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you got some value. Remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business, but when you are with us, yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode. Oh, and by the way, in the next episode, I'm actually gonna be talking about how to build a go-to-market strategy. So we're gonna be zooming into this. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so you get notified. All right, I'm TK. I'll see you in the next episode. I don't like that one either. I think I'm using that right.